Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. How is everyone doing today? Starting off December with a little red in the market. So let me say good morning. Good morning, John. Thank you for typing that in. Even though sometimes I just blank out on names. I'm really bad with names. That's why I don't understand why this has changed. Really bad with names. Like I'll live next to somebody for a year and I'll be like, "Well, what's your name?" I remember dog names, just not people names. Good morning, Patrick. Good morning, OD Green. Good Asian market crypto liquidation on Cyber Monday. It was Bitcoin is back down. We're going to see now if it can form the double bottom pattern or if the selling continues. Good morning, Mark. Japan yields. Remember, I said to keep an eye on Japan yields. We'll take a look at those. Japan is the canary in the coal mine. Lots of things could unravel. Lots of things could unravel. Remember that. Good morning, Jacob. Manually changed my handle under YouTube. Customize channel to be a more user-friendly form. We got Patrick M in Look at this. Look at Patrick. Patrick M in Minnesota. See, that is very handy, Patrick. Good morning. Is that Rick? Oh, man. See, I'm blanking. It's too early. It's too early. Good morning, Anissa. How are you doing? Good morning, David. Good morning, Heinrich. I'm terrible with names of people and dogs. Do you remember names of anything? Cats, birds, other named squirrels you might know? Hello, Charles. Good morning, Balaji. Thank you for tuning in, everyone. All right, we're going to have a good month of December. So, by the way, if you are looking to subscribe to the unfiltered investor, I just retweeted. I'm having trouble with my X account again. The live stream seems to be working with anything I try to, what do you call it, X out? I'm just going to call it a tweet. I don't know why Elon had to change the name of, everybody still calls it Twitter and tweets. But if you're looking for a discount, there's a Cyber Monday deal. I retweeted it from Bob. Hope everyone hey, Jake, I agree. Let's hope everyone had a wonderful weekend. Even if you weren't in the USA, I hope everyone has a pleasant weekend in December. Now, Advent has kicked off for those who celebrate. What do we got going on, though? What do we got going on? We have the S&P Global Manufacturing PMI coming out 15 minutes after cash open. The ISM numbers from November coming out at 10 a.m. Eastern. Then we got Powell speaking tonight. Don't know if he's going to touch on financial markets or not, but that's not till tonight. What else we have coming up this week? We have Redbook tomorrow, Bowman speaking, and not much else. Wednesday, we have the export import prices, manufacturing production numbers, ADP numbers, which everyone's going off of because of the lack of government numbers. We have the ISM services on Wednesday. And then, like always, the EIA numbers because there's no holiday this week. Thursday, we have Challenger job initial jobless claims, and these are for November. Last week, except for continuing claims, is 2 weeks ago. Bowman speaking again. And then Friday, the PCE numbers. Now, these are back from September. So remember, we got the PPI numbers last week. These are, which were from September. These are from September. All right, but those are at 10 a.m. Friday. And then you have the December consumer sentiment. December consumer sentiment numbers. So we do have a bit of information coming out this week. A bit of information. Normally it would be non-farm payrolls this Friday, but they are delayed. They are delayed. S&P map is mostly red. Can't even call it Christmas colors because there's only synopsis green, Accenture green. Everything else is red after the strong run last week. tipping some probabilities that we could see future gains. So I'm watching this pullback very, very closely. Groups, let me just refresh this. Groups, we got basic materials, gold and silver. Silver just like a rocket ship, energy and defensive higher. Everything else is lower, with technology and comm services lagging the most. Fed watch still has 87% for the cut in how many days? 9 days. So not this Wednesday, the following Wednesday. The following Wednesday. Fear and greed still with that. This is just, why do I follow this? Because it's interesting when we do get to extreme fear, but something's really skewed now. I mean, we're back. Market momentum is back to neutral, which is approaching all-time highs again. The stock price strength is not great, or the breadth. The breadth, I'm watching to see if we form at least a bottoming formation, can rally a bit. In the breadth, put call options, extreme fear, market volatility is in neutral, but safe haven demand. Some of these underlying things, they got to work on their model a bit. It's a little off, but 40-42 in the not so cheap. People get confused when I say the dirt cheap Schiller PE. It's not cheap at all. This is a very expensive market. Earnings, not a lot today. I mean, this morning there was one company of importance, not even importance, of listed on the thing. This week, what do we have? Not much tomorrow morning, not much after the close today. After the close tomorrow, we got Marvell, GitLab, CloudStrike, Leslie's Pool Supplies. That's going to move the market. Before the open, we on Wednesday, although not market movie, Dollar Tree is important. And Dollar Tree and Macy's. Let's compare higher end versus low end. After close, you got Salesforce and Snowflake, and well, there's C3 AI, UiPath, but most important is probably Salesforce. Then we got Snowflake. Thursday, we got Kroger, important for food inflation stuff and sales there for necessities, and Dollar General, Hormel Foods. After close Thursday, we got DocuSign, and that's really, unless you're into Victoria's Secret, for Friday. All right. So we got the bounce in the yields. I was looking at the 10-year yields straight. Where is it? Japan. Here's your 10-year. Hit the next harmonic. But why am I highlighting? Who cares about Japanese debt? Well, this is starting to get to be a problem. There's your 10-year. Here's your 30-year. Look at this. 30 years approaching 3.4. Just, this is not the trend you want to be in. And there is your yen. Your yen is dropping on this, but this is going to get interesting. So the yen a little strengthening, even though the yields are climbing. Good morning, Yogesh. So just keep an eye on that, because if the yields keep going, they're gonna have to. The Bank of Japan is gonna have to do something. Before that, we had, even on Friday, we had already taken out the 75% harmonic on Wednesday. Remember, the probability shifted. That does not mean we have to go to new highs. We've already taken out the 75. The next magnet price is 87.5. So that's what I'm going to be watching for in the short term, especially before the Fed meeting. So as long as we don't collapse, I mean, we have the first cross rotation zone. As long as, now this isn't my line of saying I'm using harmonics from the lows, but my first warning sign, it would be if it dropped back below the 50. So could we easily pull back with daily cycles at the top and Friday hit overbought conditions? Yeah. I'll be looking for pullback patterns. Pullback patterns. The initial thing I was looking for was the 4-hour rotation zone. And we do have a little mini double bottom against the 4-hour rotation zone. So we'll be watching 68. I'm just watching 68.30. It's easy for me to remember. 68.29.75. Going to be watching for that to possibly trigger 68.43, 68.50, 68.57. Going to be keeping an eye on that. If we do not hold the 4-hour rotation zone and continue to drop back down, the next key level I'm watching is right around 67.80. We'll be looking at 67.80. If we continue and just drop through the whole first cross rotation zone, it's 67.50 is the next major one. Good morning. Is that Ted? Something bad's gonna happen soon. I have my spidey sense going. I'm keeping an eye out, just like you are, Charles. But I have to stick with the probabilities, and we don't have a key topping pattern. We could stay in a sideways channel. We could. This would be a very interesting, because the shoulder, this right shoulder, we're not even close to having a head and shoulders pattern yet, because it would be really skewed yet. Now, is this a potential double top? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I really wanted to get to that 87.5 level, though, to make it the higher probability double. So that's what I'm keeping an eye on. VIX just will not stay depressed. It's bounced a little, but you know, the VIX bound. I mean, it went all the way back down to 16 handle. It went down to pretty complacent. It's been down to 14, but 14 to 16 is the complacency level. Popped up a bit today. Off the little drop, but I'm going to be still watching. I am probably going to look for hedges coming up once the VIX pushes back down, especially going into the Fed meeting. Gonna keep an eye on that. All right, NASDAQ. Again, 4-hour rotation zone. Tapping off at 12, little double tap pattern. Little double top pattern. I'm going to the conservative targets because the aggressive ones cut into the wicks. Would need a close above 25,340, 275, so 25,343, 25,408 or 409, 25,441, 442, 25,475 roughly. If we do not hold these levels, do not hold the 4-hour rotation zone. We also closed back above the trend line. We closed above the 62.5 on Friday. So we've technically shifted the probabilities up. We have not hit the set. And my first key price on any continued rally versus bounce play is 25,775. I'm really focused on the 75% harmonic. We do not have the first cross rotation zone. If we drop down 25,100 to about 25,130 is the next key support area. Below that, 24,955 and the 50 EMA is what I'm watching. We start losing that level, it could be a warning sign of another rollover play. And the probability shift would be wrong, but that has not happened yet. Ah, hey, Christoph. So, greetings from Argentina. Oh, I hope you're having a great time in Argentina. What are you doing there? Is it like a vacation or is it? Yeah, it is, Ted. Thank you. I thought it was you, Ted, with the big eyeball. Is that a vacation, Christoph, or work related? Either way, hope you're having a great time in Argentina. The Dow does not have a double pattern. It would be a really weak head and shoulders pattern. I'm watching the bottom of the 4-hour rotation zone about 47,350. If it pulls back there, otherwise it's a breakout from that horizontal consolidation. The major support level is about 47,150. If we break down the Russell, which again is at the bottom of the 4-hour rotation zone, and I'll have to double check this one. Yep, still qualifies. Still qualifies. Just making sure that spike down didn't take it out. It would need a close above 2489.5, 2496.5, 2500, 2503.4. That's the only potential bottoming pattern there also. So the S&P, NASDAQ, and Russell all have potential doubling patterns, double bottoms they might not trigger. That's why I'm still looking if we do drop for these other key pullback levels. I already looked at the VIX, slightly elevated today. I'm not going to get into I can't go into more severe sell mode unless we start accelerating above 19. Other than an ordinary pullback, the DAX pulling back to the 200 area. Be interesting to see if this closes above or below it today. It dropped below it, remained resistance, then popped back above it last week. Coming out of overbought conditions and cycles still rolling over. The yields, the notes, by the way, rolled contract today to March. The yields, I don't think I mentioned it last week. They rolled to the December contract on last Tuesday, but the yields are climbing. The yields are climbing along with gold. Remember, we shifted above the 62.5. So first target was 4273.8. Next target is 43, 35, 43.36 roughly. And yes, there is a potential massive double top pattern, may never trigger. But I'm still watching for higher price action there. Silver took out the next key little harmonic area, the next major harmonic. Oops, let me just delete this minor one. The next major harmonic is not until just above 60 bucks. Testing the upper end of the channel right now. So silver broke out strongly on Fridays, followed through today. Silver, again, little potential double top pattern, which was invalidated. Never even confirmed or anything, but we've then broken out of there. There is the weekly pattern. Last week, straight to the next harmonic, so I'm still looking at the $60 mark. Crude is still crappy trading in my book. It's trading between this channel. That's all it is. Been watching this channel now for a couple weeks. We mentioned anything below 58 gets bought pretty strongly, and now we've hit the upper end of the channel. So now I'm watching to see if we start rolling over again and testing some key support. Are the metals? They might be. The dollar, I'm going to get to the dollar. Charles, we're going to get there right now. Dollar, remember, long term, it's officially triggered massive double bottom pattern. Okay, the invalidation point is still a close below 97.30 or a trade below 96.84. We do have a daily, not confirmed yet, double top. Not confirmed or triggered yet. If it did trigger, I'd be very patient on the dollar because we could see some more substantial pullbacks. All right. I would be looking at, if this does trigger, I'm focusing on about this 97, 90 to 98 area. Other than that, I have to stick with the probabilities of the massive weekly double. Christoph, visiting family in Argentina and stay there for a bit. Well, I hope you have a wonderful time. Are you staying there for the whole month of December? You know, that would be fun. So, there we go. The euro, obviously, the bounced up into very key resistance. This is a potential double bottom pattern in the euro. So I'll be watching to see if that triggers. We already looked at the yen. Bitcoin. Bitcoin. Again, rotation zone holding. If it does bounce up, I'm going to keep watching on the weekly rotation zone. Other than that, the trend is still down, but I'm seeing if it gets below 83,683. That would put it in potential double bottom territory. Other than that, the trend is still down on Bitcoin. Ethereum, the trend is also down on there. And in order for it to get to potential double bottom territory, it has to get below 2739. The spiders and the Qs, again, this double has been invalidated. So the spiders not able to get to the first target before it went on the tear. Remember, we had percent B buys. Also, remember, I forgot to mention something. Another thing to shift probabilities is last week the S&P weekly, the daily percent B buy turned into a weekly percent B buy. So another thing, not a guarantee, but another thing that the short-term probabilities have all shifted, that we can continue to see some higher prices, not necessarily new highs. Did want to point that out. Same thing with the Qs, signaled a percent B weekly buy, or the NQ. The spiders did trigger a weekly percent B buy. All right, they've taken out the 75. The next target, the next major target is 684.84. Gapping down, of course, today with the futures lower. The key targets, the upside for today, are 683.67. Sorry, 680.50. And then we have the gap fill to 683.39. The support level that I'm watching, if we do roll over, let's see, Thursday's close was 679.68. We're below that. So the key areas to watch for, I'd be looking at Tuesday's high, 676.21, and then the potential gap fill, 674.02 if there's continuing weakness. The key line in the sand I'm watching, right, not the major line in the sand, the minor line in the sand I'm watching is 673 area. The Qs also shifting the probabilities, little gap down. Did we fill the gap back to Wednesday? Let's see, 614.27, 613. Yes, we're going to fill that gap with another gap. The key thing on a continued pullback, really key, is 608.89 on the Qs. All right. Does the daily ZM1 I'll get to some stocks in a second. The does it have this is a very weak shoulder. A very weak shoulder, but you can look at it, it's barely holding on. So it looks like it might trigger the upward sloping against the rotation zone still. So if you want to trade this, I'd be looking for a close below about 316 today. You can still trade that, Christoph. That was a good question. It's okay. It's a little flat, but it's okay. What other stocks? I saw a few stocks in here. Hold on. Oh boy, they get lost back in here. C. What do I think of C? Let me look at the weekly. Again, holding the weekly rotation zone, potential double top that's now looks like it's going to be invalidated possibly. Again, I'd just be watching this bottom of the weekly rotation zone. Other than that, the trend is up. If it starts breaking down here, I don't think this is fully invalidated yet. I don't think this pulled back far enough yet. But if it didn't, that's a potential double top. So the warning sign would be below the weekly rotation zone. In the short term, if it does break out higher, here's the harmonics I'd use. I would be looking at 108.50 area as a first key target, next one higher. And then the major harmonics would be all the way down here. The major harmonic would be 111.85. AAL, interesting chart because it did close above a very key resistance level last week. It did close and above the 50% harmonic. So this on it's dropping now, but I could be watching as long as this daily rotation zone starts holding with the separation. You can look for potential buys with the first target being this 15 area. Look at net. Do not see a tradable pattern yet. But I'm looking for a rollover play to the weekly 50 EMA, which lines up with the 50% retracement. Well, let's put our levels up there. Yeah, that would be a pretty big magnet, very big magnet area. Look at this. You got the prior breakout level back from February 25, which was broken out in June. Now you got your 200 and the 50% harmonic. That's a pretty decent level. And on the weekly, you do have the 50 EMA, as you pointed out. That's a really good level to watch for any downside targets with the cross the rotation zone or potential buy setups once it gets there. So yeah, you're spot on with that key level. Yeah, Airbus, you know, that with the halt of all those planes that they can't be put back in service. It's not for commercials, mainly for packages and all, like the carriers like UPS and FedEx have some. But yeah, it's going to plunge off that news. So let's just peek what else we have. NVIDIA, interestingly enough, good to see if we get a double bottom pattern here, but things are rotating out of NVIDIA more and more. Getting a pullback in Broadcom, but Broadcom went on a massive tear last week. By the way, Tesla has a triggered double bottom off the first, after hitting the first target area on the double top, has a triggered double bottom pattern for anybody interested. Oracle, nothing yet. Again, trend is down at Oracle, and Oracle has shifted the probability. So any bounces are looking for rollover plays, further weakness in Oracle. I think I touched on that last week. With that, let's just peek at the S&P going into the open. Still got a potential double bottom. First thing I'll be paying attention to is see if we get a close back about 68.23 in the short term. And then it needs 68.29.75 to trigger the potential double bottom. And also remember, we have numbers coming up. In about 12 minutes, we have the S&P Global Manufacturing. Then, more important, we have the ISM numbers, ISM manufacturing numbers at 10 Eastern. So the big thing I'm going to be watching is in the next 27 minutes how the market reacts at 10 a.m. anyways, but then we have numbers coming out then. So that's going to be very key for me. With that, we're back to normal. No holidays coming up until no market holidays, so everything will be on the normal schedule. So I'll see you all back tomorrow morning. Bye for now.